Guys, Jennifer here. So I just finished watching Stranger Things Season 3 and wow. So I have never done a review for the first two seasons, so this is my first time reviewing the show, and there is a lot to talk about. I'm not gonna try to do a recap of the first two seasons, but basically a lot of science fiction takes place in the 80s. Lots of monster gore and all that fun stuff. And this season actually only had 8 episodes, and I have to say, the writers are incredible. They are able to develop a whole plot line, like, with so many characters, all these different subplots. They bring it all together in just 8 episodes, which is not an easy task, so bravo to the writers. And obviously the cast is amazing. But let's talk about Season 3, what happened in the show. So, there was a lot. We got more than just the whole thing with the Upside Down. We also got another villain corporation, which was apparently the Soviet Russians. And we learned that they are also trying to do the same thing as the previous group did, which, I can't remember what they were called, but they were the evil organization that they had to deal with in the first 2 seasons in America. But the Russians have been doing the same thing, trying to open up that gate. And they aren't successful at first. Unfortunately, they do become more successful once they move their base to, apparently, Hawkins, which apparently that's what they built the mall for there, and that was an interesting twist there. Like, at first you just see that there's this whole thing with the mall being built there, and it's put so many people out of business, and you think, oh, that's just what that is, but turns out the mall actually plays a really important role in being the base for the Russians. So that is where they are doing the experiment, and that is why the Mind Flayer, which we saw in Season 2, that has returned. It's gaining more energy, and it is major in this season because it's not just possessing Will, it is possessing, I think it was like 30 citizens of Hawkins. A lot more people. And the first one that it possesses is Billy, who we had seen in Season 2. He was the bully, the really rough and tough bully from last season. And you wouldn't think you would feel any sympathy for him, but this season really changed the whole dynamic of his character around. He actually was a sympathetic character this season. Like, at first he's his usual self, but after he's possessed, you learn more about him, you learn why he ended up being the way he was, and he actually ends up sacrificing himself, which I'm gonna try not to give too many spoilers away in case people haven't watched, but I won't say how he sacrifices himself, but he does. But yeah, we also see how 11 has become more integrated into society, and she and Mike are dating. And apparently, Jim Hopper doesn't like that too much. He has basically taken on the role of father to 11, and every time he sees her and Mike together, his father skills start, like, kicking in. He's like, no, I don't want you guys getting any further than kissing. He always asks her to leave the door 3 inches open, which, that may be an important plot later, but, yeah, we'll get back to that one. But yeah, he tries to kind of keep them distant, and it ends up causing them to break up eventually, because Mike does become afraid and he starts lying to 11, and they just have like a quick little breakup that only lasts like, I don't even know if it was 3 days, honestly. I'd just say 3 days. But yeah, that happened. And also, during the breakup, 11 becomes much friendlier with Max, who was the sister to Billy, or stepsister to Billy, who we met last season as well. She has also become a part of the group, and she's dating Lucas, who I guess they broke up too when 11 broke up with Mike. That wasn't ever officially clear, but I guess, I don't know. We'll say they broke up. But she and 11 really formed a bond, and I liked that. Because in the last season, you kind of felt like they were maybe gonna have a rift, just because they were the two girls in the group, and maybe there was gonna be some kind of a jealousy thing going on. But I'm actually glad that they didn't go with that. They actually went the route of them becoming friends and really close, like sisters. So I really liked that they did that. And we also see Steve is back. In a way, you know, if you had watched only season 1, you never would have expected to see him like this. He is working at an ice cream parlor at the mall with a girl who's new to the season. Her name's Robin. And they actually, I really liked where they went with their relationship in this season. So at first they kind of like don't get along, and they're kind of like, I can't think of the word, they aren't really friends, let's say. They like to tease each other. But as Robin actually becomes helpful with, this is another subplot, let me work in here. So Dustin learns of the Russians being in Hawkins because he hears a code when he's trying to reach his girlfriend via satellite. And he tries to get Steve to help him crack the code that he hears. Robin has a better idea of what they could be saying, so she ends up helping them. And throughout the season, she actually just is there as a part of the group. And she and Steve get closer. We learn that at first you'd think, this is actually where I thought it was going to go, that she was going to be a love interest for Steve. It turns out that she scoops for the other team, let's say. And she ends up being more of a friend and ally to Steve, which I think that was a good way to go too, because they really make great friends. And you see at the end that they're trying to get a new job together, and I'm really excited to see where their friendship goes in the next season. But I really liked, it was a nice little twist that we weren't expecting. But yeah, I am glad that they brought in Robin for Steve, even if it's not in a way that I thought it was going to be. But I think they bring out the best in each other, which is cool. And also, Steve was really funny this season. I think they gave him a lot more to do, which I like. It wasn't just that he was Nancy's love interest, and all of a sudden he has 1 or 2 episodes where he's trying to save the day. He really got into some action here, which I think was great for his character. And one thing that his character shows is that with this show, they really are great at twisting like the typical tropes that you would expect. Like the popular jerk, you wouldn't expect him to suddenly become selfless and help a bunch of kids fight off a monster. Like, that is not at all what I expected in season 1. I honestly thought he was gonna die in season 1. Even if he did become a hero. Like, in that last moment, he redeemed himself maybe, and then they'd kill him off, but I'm surprised, and I like that they didn't do that. Because they've given him a chance to really develop the character. So I really like that they have gone that route. And speaking of Nancy, she and Jonathan are still together. They are actually interns at the Hawkins... Oh, what was it called? The Hawkins Report... No. Oh, I can't remember. It's basically the newspaper of Hawkins. And she is kind of struggling because she's an intern who basically just gets food and coffee for the jerks that work in the room. And they really are jerks. They're not just ignoring her, but every time she tries to offer up an idea, especially there's this one guy, I think his name was Bruce. He has I want to curse, I'm trying not to. He is the biggest jerk. And he likes to call her Nancy Drew in like the most degrading way possible. And I just hated that subplot just because, not that it's a bad subplot, it shows like what women had to go through with trying to get into the real world, getting a job as big as a reporter. And I like that they show that Nancy's trying to do that, because she really is a fighter and she does work hard for what she wants. And we honestly didn't get to see that in season 1. Season 2, we maybe got a little bit of an idea, but I feel like her character, like this shows that she's grown so much that she's finally trying to step up and be the best that she can. But then there's these guys and this whole glass ceiling thing, and you just hate seeing that that's what she has to go through to show her greatness, which is it's with a lot of people in real life too. So I like that the show included that. I just, my teeth just grate when I listen to those men saying those things to her and treating her like she's trash. That part I don't like. But yeah, it worked for Nancy's character. And Jonathan, he's a photographer, so he's kind of got more of that work going on. He gets to be in the room, working on the photos. He's not really with the men, so he doesn't quite have the struggle that Nancy has. But eventually they team up because she finds a lead for a story that a bunch of rats have gone rampant, and she actually is like one of the ones to figure out what's going on first. So that goes back to the Mind Flayer, and he, I guess we can call it he, is basically gathering an army by possessing people, but not just possessing people. He also gathers rats, and he needs the rats and the humans' flesh to survive, basically. So once he possesses all the people, we later see that they basically disintegrate into nothing but flesh and bones, which, that was disturbing. And the sound effects to that was not music to the ears, let's say. But yeah, so he uses them to grow into this big, scary monster, and the whole purpose of the monster is to end 11, because she's the only one who can close the gate, and the Mind Flayer doesn't like that. The part that was in Will last season is the part that remained in the real world, so when she closed the gate last season, it didn't fully go back into the Upside Down. So that was unfortunately a bad mistake on their part. But yeah, basically that's what they had to deal with this season, trying to not deal with the Upside Down. We didn't even really see the Upside Down too much, just when Billy got possessed. But basically the monster was in their world, and they had to save their world from it. So I like that they brought the fight more to Hawkins this time. And there's another point I was thinking. I can't think. Oh. One thing I think people liked seeing, but unfortunately didn't have a happy ending, was Hopper and Joyce, which they have been friends for a long time, and he's helped her with the case ever since Will disappeared. And they've really grown a lot closer. They understand each other for the most part, and I think we were kind of rooting for them, like, at the end of season 2, even though Joyce had really gone through a really bad, traumatic boyfriend loss there with Bob. Which we do see that she still is bothered by that, which I'm glad they included that, like, not just, like, in some movies and shows, you just suddenly forget your love interest from previous seasons, which Walking Dead. But I think that showed that she was resistant to having feelings for Hopper. But eventually they do, like, they plan a date at the end, but unfortunately they're not going to get to see that date yet. And I say yet because though it seems, and spoiler here, though it seems Hopper may have died, we may not have seen the last of him. Because though things looked hopeless when she was destroying the key to the Upside Down, because when you destroy it, like, light flashes and people disintegrate, which it seems like that might have been Hopper's fate. However, that may not have been the case, because there was a slight crack in the Upside Down. There's a chance maybe he could have escaped through there. Or maybe he's been exposed to the Upside Down, so he has some kind of immunity to it. I don't know exactly, but it'll be interesting to see if he comes back. And remember, leave the door 3 inches open. Upside down opening. Just saying, it's a possibility. I've read that in an article. Somebody suggested that might be the case, or possibly that the Russians have captured him, because they do mention in a post-credit scene that they have an American prisoner. So that's possible. So yes, season overall was great, fantastic, and honestly, I can't say enough about it. All the characters were amazing. They put all the subplots together well, and believe me, there's more I could talk about, but I think I got the gist of it. So yeah, if you guys haven't checked it out, go on Netflix, watch season 3. If you haven't watched the previous seasons, go ahead and do that too, just so you understand what's going on. Alright, this was my review for Stranger Things season 3. Have an awesome day, guys, and I'll see you soon. Bye!